quit rapping. Dudes knows that's you should appeal to the haunted rich edgelords. That sound like an edgy character. What the fuck is that shit?
What's up, my arch fiends of chaos? This is none other than King of the Night. Alright, fuck that. Let's get to my Final Fantasy deck. And I'm back in my studio again. You know, the studio I've been using for years. Since I got the better internet and everything's fixed. And, well, any flood damage that I had before is fixed. So I set everything back up here like regular, so it's ended up pretty good. You know, a little progress from there and there. Excuse me. Sorry, I really got a cold. Not a cold, but kind of flu-like symptoms a little bit since it's cold outside. You know what? Winter is coming. And I'm not just saying it because of Game of Thrones reference. So, besides that, I wanted to talk about Final Fantasy trading card game. The trading card game this time. And I want to talk about my brother's deck. The one with Sephiroth on the cover. And the one with the beautiful, sexy Sephiroth cases from the Cydia that is now worth probably $50 now. Because, you know, those cases go fast. Even though it's not the Advent Children one, which is probably worth 100. But anyways, I'm not talking about card sleeves. We're going to be talking about the strategies I use for my brother's deck. But right now I'm going to pull out like the main cards I use for this deck. Just because I want to make a video and test out and test the quality down here as much as I can. So I'm pulling out every main card I use. Or should I say every brother. The reason why I call it Brothers is because it has something to do with Final Fantasy VII Dirge servers. As you're going to see, the strategy I actually use to make this deck. Now, I do run 3 Bobuses because it's an ice deck, most likely. The Brothers deck is an ice deck, so I run 3 of these. These are just the 2 I run. But Bobuses pretty much, in order for them to attack, they have to pay or their forwards get frozen, which is really mean. And evil and cruel, unusual punishment. And this deck is really about punishing your opponents. I mean, it's an evil deck. It's got nothing but evil characters in it. You expect it to be nice? I mean, there's heroes in this stuff like Snow and stuff like that. And Shalua to power up Shulk. But this deck is pretty much a villain's deck. I mean, I even run extra Shadow Lord I got from that one set in there. But I'm trying to pull out every facet I got. Now, this deck is not completed because there's other cards I need to get. But yeah, I even run a Spirit just because like Chaos. And Chaos is in my my Texas Gunslinger Death Trip. I hate doing this on camera. But yeah, hopefully the weather gets way better so I don't feel so sick or anything like that. Which explains why I got stomach problems even worse. But these are what I mostly run. The brothers. Sephiroth does count as a brother. Anything from First Class Soldier, if you know Final Fantasy VII, are actually brothers. Technically, Cloud's related to these characters, but Cloud is not an ice, so I can't use a Cloud. And I run too many dark to use light cards. So, yes. This is actually the prized cards. If I could I want to see if I can find 3 of those, because I know I got 3 of those from that one set I bought. You know, and you have to run 3 any Genesis. Let me see if I can find the other one, 2 ones, because I know I got more Genesises than that. I know I do. It's like, you can't tell me that there's no more. You can't tell me that there's no more Genesises than that. But I have 3 Genesis because Genesis is one of the main brothers. Plus, Genesis are getting short print because he's Gok likeness, and Tabitha, the guy who created Crisis Core, and Type 0, as well as Final Fantasy 15 left Square Enix. So these are going to be really short print later on. And no, I'm not trading mine, so don't even ask. Because this is actually the competitive deck I run. Like if I play competitively, I mean I run my Vincent death penalty death trip gunslinger deck, whatever I call it, but it's not as good as this. This I can actually run in pro because ice decks are really well-rounded in pro, plus I got this Genesis, you know, but I run like mostly deep ground stuff into this deck, you know, such as the Black and White Brothers. I even got the other forms of Genesis to use for a cost of Genesis, because this card's Genesis in all situations, and even if I can't get even if all my other Genesis are destroyed, I can actually have another Genesis to play. It's just that the variant I want to play, so I'm only restricting down to one of these Genesis. I'm only restricting down to one of these Genesis, since it's not really a good one. But I personally just play that one just to have as part of the brothers, because this is a brothers deck. And then of course Sephiroth. All variants of Sephiroth. That's why I said this deck's not complete, because I need to get the rest of the Dark Sephiroths that, you know, end up coming into the thing. And here's my Hollow Weiss. But yes, I run a lot of Sephiroths in this deck, because again, anything from First Class Soldiers, and these are I have the light version of the deck too, which is the Angeal version of the Brothers deck, which is Angeal, Zack, and Cloud. So I run a good hero version, but this is actually the one I will actually play if I get into tournaments, based off the fact that this runs pretty fast. And each thing has its own thing. Like with a Nero, if you could control a card named Weiss, Nero gains 1,000 power. When Nero is blocks, choose 1/4 and freeze it. So, bam. I got the freezing power. And with 3 of my Genesis, 3 of my main Genesis. When Genesis interviews, choose 1/4, your opponent jolt and freeze it. When Genesis deals damage to your opponent, your opponent discards 1 card from her hand. Here's her hand. So, oh yeah, the brothers are. This is why villain decks are evil, because most of the villains are actually ice stuff. But yeah, I think you've already seen what I mostly run in this deck: Genesises, Neros, Weisses, Sephiroths. So I run like a whole lot of those things in any variant I could find. Alright. And then I do run Shulks, because Deep Ground is good with this deck. So the things I will run like in this deck, well, these are my good backwards because of what they do, and you don't really need cards from their series, from their game series to actually. You don't need cards from their game series to run really well. So I can choose 1/4 my opponent controls. If I receive 4, you know, don't freeze it. And for the Imminent, I can just choose 1/4 and freeze it. And this deck is about freezing. And then I run everything Deep Ground. Now, I run an Ultimecia for mostly fodder, but in certain situations, like if I have at least received 6 points of damage, I can choose 3 of the effects, which is really good. And if you're going to run a villain ice deck, this Ultimecia is good, but I'd run 1 unless you run a complete 8. But I run mostly anything Deep Ground. Anything that's part of the Deep Ground army that fits within the ice or dark pattern of the deck. So and I also run extra cards like Kuja, because Kujas are good. People run Kujas. People run Sid Brains in their ice decks, you know. They're really good cards to run. You know, even Gallus Labolis thing is actually good card. I run Imaginary Champion so I can cheat play in 3 same Sephiroths, because with Mannequin cards you can play all 3 Mannequin cards, no problem. So you could cheat. You know, pretty much I got a way to cheat my way to 3 Sephiroths instantly, which I do have 3 of them. But yeah, I run mostly deep ground stuff. I'm not gonna go look for the rest of the stuff, but you pretty much get an idea of what I run: Shelks, Shaluas, and deep grounds, because Vice is actually the headliner in that deck. So, you know, Vice is actually the headliner of that deck. So that's why it's important to be able to at least run a decent amount in this deck. Oh shit. But my biggest heavy hitters would have to be, the biggest heavy hitters in the deck would have to be these 3. The brothers, the actual, well, Weiss and Neo are the actual brothers, but, you know, these are what the brothers combo, this is what the brothers combo actually really run, you know. These are actually the combo I run in the brothers deck that make it the brothers. This is actually all my combos are used to get out. But this is what I use competitively. I've actually beat in my mentor, Steel Sky. He's the one who got me into the trading card game and trained me and actually taught me everything I need to know about the Final Fantasy trading card game. So I beat him a couple of times, and he's got a deck built by a pro. So if I beat him with this deck, it shows you how mean and evil this deck is. Well, any ice deck in general is mean and evil in Final Fantasy. People usually run lightning, you know, thunder decks and ice decks. No matter if they run an 8 base, a tactics base, you know, 2 base, you know, 5 base this, you know, either a mono or 2 element decks are really good to run. And again, I'm still learning. I don't know everything I need to know about the Final Fantasy TCG. I'm still a little bit of a novice. I've actually not won 1 tournament yet. So, you know, I'm still kind of a novice, but, you know, as a novice, I do got a deck I could run into a tournament if I really wanted to. So, yeah. I do got a deck I could really run. Hopefully there's more Genesis and Sephiroth support coming out there, at least say for Sephiroth or anything like that, to actually make the deck better. But I do need to collect the rest of the Dark Sephiroths that this one pulls out. I need 3 of those, and I need 3 of the other Dark Sephiroths from the original game to run this deck as well. And hopefully they come out with, hopefully they end up coming out with any Weisses, like Omega Weisses, or Safer Sephiroths, or Bizarro Sephiroths, or even a Genova background, a backup, because, well, you know, these guys are created by Genova cells, so I think it'd be important to actually, it'd be important to run Genova, you know, Genova inside of a Sephiroth deck as a backup. Hopefully the next Ophius or the Ophius after that ends up being the 7 Ophius, you know, so I can actually run the Brothers deck and my Vincent Texas Gunslinger Death Trip deck, you know, so I can actually run both decks with a little bit of resistance. So yeah, this is pretty much what I run if I'm gonna play pro. Now I only do casual, but when I do run pro, this is actually the deck I take. And like I said, I have 3 of these Emperors, which I actually spent the $27 to get that one deck, to get the Genesises and this Emperor, to actually make the deck go so fast. Which, again, if you want to get into a card board, It's not like it is with video game esport where you take all your time to train. You're gonna have to put some money into a card sport if you want to actually go, you know, pro, or if you want to just compete. Now, I don't go pro, I go competitive. But, you know, if I did go pro, this would be the deck I use. The Brothers deck. And may the crystal be with you.
Beats me.
By the way, you three, who are you?
Well, I'm not sure